My name is Randy Pugh. I wear a few hats for Compass. I'm the chair of the Parent Advisory Council. As such, I also have a space on the board of directors, and I am the board secretary. I also act as the parent representative for our local SELPA for their Community Action Advisory Committee. Sorry. We've been a Compass Charter family for 7 years. I have a 7th grader this year and couldn't be happier with our Compass experience. Our Compass experience has been fantastic pretty much from the beginning. I have a special education scholar who was not having his needs met in our traditional neighborhood brick and mortar school. And so after some internet research and looking for other possibilities to better provide him with the academic education that he needed, I found Compass, and it was kind of a dream experience from the beginning. We've been incredibly lucky to always have what feels like the best that Compass has to offer. We have an amazing supervising teacher who works with us to create the independent learning plan that our scholar needs. We have an amazing special education teacher and a special education case manager and team that provides us with all of those therapy services that are necessary for a child with autism to be successful in his academics. We don't miss out on anything, and being able to learn in the home environment has been the key to unlocking his academic potential. It has been somewhat surreal at times to know that we're doing this in a new way, something that was scary at the beginning, to take that leap of faith and to pull your child out of a system that up until that point had supported him so well, to say, I'm going to take on that role and that responsibility of learning coach to sit next to my child day in and day out and guide them in their academic journey was terrifying to begin with. And Compass gave us all of the resources and tools to be incredibly successful there. And my scholar couldn't learn any other way. So this has been the key for him to be a successful student, to be able to progress through grades. And I know that at the end of this journey, he will be an independent learner who can then go out and go to college, go to vocational school, have a career, and be an independent adult, which is the ultimate goal when you have a special needs child. I think Compass is a different type of charter, not in that they operate differently, but they are driven by a different set of values and a different mission. Compass sets out to create independent learners, and it's not about what you teach them. It's about their ability to learn how to learn. And if you can learn how to learn, you become a learner for life, and there are no limits to what you can accomplish. Compass is very scholar-centered, and in doing so, that's where the focus lies. So if you're going to make a decision about field trips, how does this serve our scholars? If you're going to make a decision about testing platforms, how does this serve our scholars? When we're looking at vendors to bring in, when Compass is looking at vendors to bring in, it's all about how does this enrich the Compass experience? How does this serve our scholars in the most effective way? And so I feel like Compass is always adding and rarely subtracting unless it is unnecessary for some reason, or if we're, if there are too many options and we need to narrow it down. But in general, I think the people that run Compass are passionate and driven, and that speaks on the scholar side of things. There's always a resource. There's always help. There's always a person to contact who will get back to you in a very short amount of time. JJ Lewis is the superintendent. How many families in a traditional brick and mortar school have a direct line to their school superintendent, to their school district superintendent? It's rare. I've not heard of it. I couldn't tell you who was the superintendent of my child's brick and mortar school. Nevertheless, have him sit in meetings, have him provide his email out to all and sundry to say, contact me. And that trickles down. There's not a director who isn't fully accessible to families, who's not given out their information, hosted an open house, and said, if you have a problem and you're not getting an answer that you understand, come to me. Even if you're not getting an answer that you like, come to me and we'll talk about it and we'll figure out why. And so I've never felt that there's a limit with what we do with Compass, where specifically with my scholar in a brick and mortar school, our conversations about academic environment and the need for that to be different were met with, well, you can go back to special day class and not be in general education anymore, or you can be in general education and struggle. We don't have any other resources for you. There is no other solution. That's what we were offered. And as a parent and an advocate for my kid, that's not okay with me. And when I come to Compass and I realize I have all of these resources available to me that any special education student would have in any other setting, then I know I can do this. It might be hard, it might be intimidating, but I can do this, and I can help serve my child who needs a different environment. And children learn in so many different ways. My child is not the same as anyone else's. He's unique. And someone else's child may need to be in a different environment. But for my kid, the home environment is the best environment he could learn in. And I didn't feel equipped to file a private school affidavit and be a traditional homeschooling mom. I need those public school structure of support. I need the counseling department. I need the special education department. I need those things to best serve my kid. And so Compass serves that so well because they don't say no when they can say yes. When a child has autism, they often also have sensory processing disorder. And that can make the traditional classroom environment incredibly challenging when your neighbor is looking at you, or when the visuals in a room, which are so engaging of many children, are distracting for children who struggle to process all of that sensory input. And so the ability to learn in a different environment for us at home, at the local library, where things are calm, quiet, where the visual stimulation is minimal, is ideal. When you go into a special education classroom, you often notice that the walls are quieter, that the space is quieter. But when you have a child with autism who may function slightly higher in the spectrum, or in regards to other kids within the same system, they're not in that special day class, special education room. They're in the traditional classroom making progress socially, but does that progress often come at a cost academically? And part of that is the ability to even focus on the work in front of them. So I think sensory processing and the ability to control the environment is a big key to success when it comes to the academics of children on the autism spectrum, specifically my child, because they're not all the same, but it is a commonality. The other aspect to that, I think, too, is that when you provide services when Compass provides services digitally or virtually, a child is able to stay in that more familiar environment. Routine plays such a big factor in stability when a child has autism. It reduces behaviors. It allows them to manage that sensory processing. And so being able to stay at home and still receive speech therapy on the computer, sitting in a chair that he's comfortable in with nothing distracting around him, makes that therapy even more effective because you're not having to overcome the other challenges to be able to focus on the work. So the same goes for academics. If you don't have environmental challenges that you're trying to overcome as a student with autism, your child can focus on the work at hand, which is the academics. In the process, I think families are often concerned when they think about doing a charter school and independent learning program, oftentimes billed as homeschool, that their child will suffer socially, and children with autism struggle socially. And so having social interactions and those therapies and that practice is still vital. And Compass provides those opportunities. There are virtual resources for engagement where a scholar can still be in that home environment, still be in that comfortable environmental space, but able to engage with peers, with students that are more advanced than they are, and students who they can then mentor. There are in-person field trip opportunities and events. So I can take my scholar to back to school picnics and they can meet all the people and families in their neighborhood and in their area and make those personal social connections. You're not losing anything when you come to a virtual school. In some respects, I think you gain a whole lot. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I'm a special education scholar, and to take that leap is scary. And you think that it's going to be something that you can't do. So I think my advice is give it a try, because I think you'll find that it works. The option to customize your child's education is absolutely amazing, and it's life-changing for your scholar and for you as a family. Our life would be entirely different if we hadn't have given it a try. I'll be honest for a minute, I was not intending to stay. We enrolled so that we could fix the academic problem, and then we wanted a public school so that we could easily slide him back into public school, brick and mortar, within 2 years. It's been 7 because it's the right fit, and you don't know until you try. You really don't know until you try, and so you have to try, because what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work and your kid goes back to their regular school, and it's really not that big of a deal. Whereas if you don't try, you don't know, and it really could be the exact key to opening up your kid.